The Attorney General of Ohio is pushing back against soft on-crime policies. He's calling for an amendment to the state's constitution allowing local courts to set higher bail. The Ohio Supreme Court recently ruled cash bail amounts must be based mostly on the defendant's likelihood of appearing for trial, not based on public safety. Joining me right now is the Ohio Attorney General himself, Dave Yost. And AG Yost, it's good to have you. Thanks very much for being here. We've seen the effects throughout the country of bail reform, certainly in big cities like New York and San Francisco. What have you seen in Ohio?
Well, we're seeing the same kind of things where you have people released on low bail or no bail. Frequently, they offend again. And we have instances where people have reoffended multiple times while they're out on bail. The problem is the Supreme Court in Ohio recently said that the judges are forbidden to even consider public safety. Well, I was a prosecutor. I actually spent a little time as a defense lawyer as well. I can assure you that for my entire career, judges thought that they were allowed to consider public safety when they were setting a bail bond. And now, as of January, the Supreme Court says, nope, not allowed to do that anymore.
So, I mean, it's just incredible that the priority would not be public safety. I don't understand.
Well, there's a lot of judges that I've talked to that don't understand, and a lot of prosecutors and police officers. Look, I want to say right up front, I don't think anybody should be held in jail simply because they're poor. But this notion that we aren't allowed to defend ourselves against a violent, particularly a violent criminal, is just patently absurd. That's why I'm working with people in the legislature to put on the fall ballot a constitutional amendment. We're going to go over the heads of the court and go directly to the people and ask them to amend the Constitution and make it explicit that we want judges to think about keeping us safe while the criminal justice system holds people accountable.
Yeah, and who hears these cases? What are you expecting in terms of timing on this?
Well, right now it's in the legislature. It's been introduced in both houses, and we're hoping when they come back from the Easter break that we get favorable consideration from both houses. The November election is the nearest election that we could get this question in front of the people of Ohio.
Yeah, I mean, you make a great point, and it's a shocker to me that you're not seeing judges want to do this anyway, want to make the call in a situation that they are overseeing. Voters and viewers are also not happy with the Title 42 ending at the border. A new Morning Consult poll finds 56% oppose the decision to lift Title 42, which, of course, was a Trump-era policy. The administration has confirmed last Friday that it will lift Title 42 at the end of May. AJ, you recently won a court order forcing the administration to enforce immigration law. The federal government appealed, and you're back in court today to uphold the order. Tell us about the ramifications of lifting Title 42.
Well, right now, Title 42 is acting to have at least a little control on the flood of immigrants coming across the border. And make no mistake about it, the fentanyl that we're seeing in Ohio and the rest of the country, the methamphetamine that's resurgent, is entering the country now through our porous southern border. That's why we went to court on this policy that was enunciated last year. And this is regarding people that, it's just a head scratcher. It's the Congress passed a law that said if you're a violent felon, if you are a multiple conviction felon, if you're a major drug dealer, if you've run out of appeals, that those people must be deported. And last fall, the Department of Homeland Security announced this new interior enforcement policy where they were going to just kind of leave it up to people on the ground and really kind of discouraged the deportation of those mandatory classes, categories of offenders. It made no sense. It was contrary to the law. They basically just took an eraser to Congress's law. And the federal court issued an order last week, I believe, that basically was a back-to-work order for ICE. Now, of course, the government has appealed it for reasons that, frankly, just escape me. They don't want to have any border or immigration enforcement.
This is just extraordinary. I mean, you are the final line of defense, AG, certainly in Ohio. And do you have any idea why the federal government has these wide open borders with what we're expecting to be 18,000 people a day? Already 2 million people, new people, have come into this country under President Biden. And you mentioned the fentanyl. That was when I went to the border for the second time. I've been there 4 times. Second time I came home, and that was the story. I mean, I came home talking about all of these drugs, these illicit narcotics that are getting into the country, and the fact that the cartels are making $100 million a week on smuggling drugs and people.
Maria, you've seen it with your own eyes. It just defies logic that the administration doesn't want to faithfully execute these laws. But in fact, in January, Secretary Mayorkas, in a first-year kind of interview, was bragging that for the first time they've changed policy so that arrests aren't happening, and in fact deportations are down 2/3 since this policy came in.
Well, this has got to be a dereliction of duty if I've ever seen one. AG, we'll be watching it, and thanks for all of your efforts. We'll be watching the bail reform amendment as well in your state's constitution. Attorney General Dave Yost joining us this morning. Thank you, sir.